Part 31. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 301. My sister San Juan actually came to visit me, which was something I couldn't even imagine. Although there are many San Juans in the world, there is only one San Juan as his sister, and it is impossible for Atlanta to mistake his sister. His sister San Juan has long red hair and a quiet smile. Although I usually miss my sister and imagine what it would be like to meet my sister. You look for me, I look for you, and then we meet at a corner. Then you call me sister and I call you sister. The picture feels great. Otherwise, I suddenly got news about my sister, and then I searched, and finally found it. At that time, she was talking to someone, and he hugged her neck from behind. In fact, even if I miss my sister, I won't think about it all the time. Everyone has their own life. The last time I thought of my sister was when I took an extra bowl and washed an extra apple when washing apples, and then I heard Santiago say that San Juan was not there again. The door hadn't opened yet in the morning, so I thought it was some kind of customer. Usually everyone changes clothes and opens the store at that time, and I have also encountered situations where someone comes and knocks on the door in advance. This time, I thought it would be the same as before, but I didn't expect it to be my sister. Atlanta was a little confused. At this time, she just wanted to open the door and let people in. She greeted San Juan to come in, and saw Leipzig following behind. She didn't know Leipzig very well, but she still recognized him since they were in the same garrison. Atlanta quickly said hello, and Leipzig responded. Someone outside the street saw the bakery starting to open for business. As a loyal crowd of cat-eared girls, they had been drinking milk tea at the milk tea shop opposite the bakery for half an hour. When they saw the bakery open, they regretted that they were a step too late and let others get there first. They ran across the street and Atlanta had already closed the door. "We have to go in too." Atlanta looked at the passers-by, waved his hands and said, "We are closed today." Saying this, she took a piece of paper from the store and hung it on the door. It said, "Closed today." There was a cat's paw seal in the corner of the card. Those people went in. There was no answer, the door was closed, and the man in his 20s waved to his companion who came behind. There was no beautiful girl with cat ears today. On the other side, Santiago wiped all the tables, but received instructions from his sister that the store would not be open today, and she was putting away the rags. She put away the rags and was about to walk away with the waste bucket. When she saw Atlanta leading two people in, she asked in confusion, "Who is it?" Santiago was a little confused about his sister suddenly opening the door and bringing in the guests. Didn't we just agree that we would be closed today and everyone was ready to go to the top floor to bask in the sun? Why did we just bring two guests in at once? I brought two customers. Since that's the case, let's just open the store. San Diego doesn't matter. Just bring the customers in and then close the store door, and then put up the temporary suspension sign. Why? He originally ran to the kitchen, stuffed the kneaded dough back into the refrigerator, and closed the oven again. Juno came out wearing thick white gloves and said, "Are you the landlord?" Atlanta said, No, guess who is coming?" San Juan poked his head out from behind Atlanta, waved and said, "Sister Santiago, Sister Juno." Juno was about to take off his gloves when he heard a sound and stopped mid-movement. When she saw clearly who walked in, the face was clearly that of her quiet sister, San Juan. Several people gathered around. "You damn girl also know you're back. It'll be good to come back, it'll be good to come back." Santiago has a soft and marshmallow-like character. If you run away from home for a day, you will get angry. If you run away from home for 2 days, you will get angry. If you run away from home for a week, you will become furious. If I have been away from home for more than a year, I will just thank God for reuniting my sisters. At this time, San Juan blushed slightly when he heard the greeting. It was indeed wrong to leave alone after a disagreement. There was no adequate means of communication, the garrison was dilapidated, and there was no home for everyone. The world is so big, it is quite difficult to meet her. If it weren't for the news about Helena, I don't know when the meeting would have taken place. She looked at several people, pursed her lips, and showed a smile. A small dimple appeared on her face, but unfortunately there was only one. Sister. His sister suddenly appeared. This was a big deal. The original plan to open a store was completely abandoned, and everyone's plan to go to the top floor to bask in the sun was also shelved. Try the snacks we made. And Leipzig, this is yours. Santiago brought snacks to San Juan and Leipzig. Although the snacks were made a few days ago, the freshly baked bread was obviously too late. Santiago has fluffy green curly hair, cat ears on his head, and a tail behind his butt. He bent over and swung his tail, making Leipzig want to grab that tail. Seeing the snacks handed to his table, San Juan quickly waved his hand and said, "Sister Santiago, there is no need to serve me bread, I have already eaten it." Even though she said this, tears actually flowed down her face. Sister Santiago is good at taking care of others. No one cares about her in the town hall, so she finally feels a little warm. Although he knew that there was no way, the admiral could not pay attention to so many people by himself, especially there were many little girls who needed care. Because you can take care of yourself, no one will care too much about you. Even though I know it, I still want to care. Several people from Atlanta, Juneau, and Santiago gathered around San Juan, talking a lot. Firstly, she was her sister, far from being a friend she had not seen for a long time. Secondly, everyone was just a girl and cared about these things the most. I thought someone was knocking on the door. How did you find this place? We were just about to close the store. Even if the four sisters are reunited, they are never allowed to leave again. You left alone before, making it difficult for us to find you. You seem to have lost some weight. It must be difficult to live alone. While eating snacks, Leipzig heard them talking and thought to herself, I was obviously right next to her, coming with San Juan, so why was she alone again? Besides, she is already very thin, with a slender figure. Compared with a fleshy figure like yours, Santiago, she is certainly thinner, so it is not difficult at all. Various things were chattering around, and San Juan smiled, not knowing whose question he should answer for a moment. She was sitting at a dining table, sitting upright, with her hands on her thighs, one palm covering the other. Leipzig, who was sitting next to her, ate all the buns brought to her one by one, drank all the milk, and then looked around again. Finally, she began to fiddle with the camera in her hand, preparing to click to take a photo, planning to name it, "The First Encounter of the Beautiful Girl with Cat Ears." He spat out questions one by one, and when the surrounding voices became quieter, San Juan said, "Sister, please tell me one by one, otherwise there are so many questions and I don't know which one I should answer." The surrounding area fell silent. The sisters looked at each other, and then Atlanta took the lead and asked, "How did you find us?" "Because Helena told us, she said you were here and gave me the address, so we came over and it took several days." "Helena, I met her once before. She must be working at the Kanyang headquarters now. In the past, she told us to just follow her. Originally we planned to follow her at the Kanyang headquarters if we couldn't survive in the future. Damn it, but our bakery is doing so well." San Juan grinned, "You haven't opened the door yet, so it seems like business is good. Why did you leave alone before? Why did you just inform us so casually and then leave? You don't like us anymore." Atlanta reached out and patted San Juan on the head. Although she was the eldest sister, they were actually completely different from sisters like Lexington and Saratoga. The four sisters were basically the same mental age. Atlanta is said to be the eldest sister, but in fact she has never shouldered the responsibility of a sister. Compared to Fletcher, who always takes care of his sister, it is a world of difference. San Juan said, "There's no big reason, and it's not that I don't like you. I just want to have a little adventure. I haven't attacked once before. I want to see the sea and see how big the world is. Anyway, I don't for whatever reason, I did it on a whim. It's a pity that I still didn't travel around the world. I later worked as a guard in a company. I also have another name, Qin Ying. Apart from Qin Ying, there are actually many names. I don't have any idea of doing business. Anyway, I just want to do something casually. Step by step. Sister, how did you come up with the idea of opening a bakery? It's almost the same as you. I just want to find something to do. I've been looking for it and ended up here." San Juan said, "Think about it, I left in a hurry before, and I didn't agree on a date or place to meet, and I couldn't find you later. Assemble? We can only choose the former garrison for gathering, but that garrison has been abandoned." Juno said, "It's San Juan, you're here, you won't leave in the future, I won't let you leave." San Juan picked up a donut, thought about it and put it down again. He thought about the purpose of coming here and that he had been out for so many days. She said, "Of course I'm leaving, and you have to follow me. I'm here specifically to take you back." Atlanta sat back on a chair, put his hands on the back of the chair, and said, "Who told you to come to us, Helena? We have told her that we will go to her if we can't survive. Lexington, Washington? Otherwise, Colorado, did they build a garrison on their own? They want us to go over and help. If not for them, who can take charge of it alone, Washington?" San Juan smiled and said, "No, it's the Admiral. The Admiral is back." Juno was stunned and said, "Admiral, who is that guy?" San Juan has teeth, no Admiral, and has been wandering outside for too long. Has he even forgotten this? She said, "Admiral, our Admiral is called Sugu. Sister Atlanta and Sister Juno were fished out, right? Sister Santiago was built. Isn't that person who fished you out and built you? Admiral." Another bombshell, Leipzig has raised the camera in his hand. This photo is called a group portrait. The calm lake dropped a stone named San Juan, and the ripples have not yet dispersed. Then another bomb called the Admiral was dropped. This time there were no ripples and some white fish were floating on the water. Juno bit her tongue, Santiago drank the milk, and the milk dripped onto her chest, looking seductive and cute. San Juan said, "We met the Admiral, and he has now rebuilt a new garrison. We have now found many people, including Lexington, Saratoga, Bismarck, and Bizai. We defeated the deep-sea flagship a few days ago and then met Helena. It was at that time that Helena told me your news. The Admiral was going to follow Helena to the ship's headquarters. Lafayette was still there, and Kent seemed to have some problems. I want to take a look. It's not convenient for you here, so I'll come over and take everyone back together." San Juan talked excitedly about all kinds of things, how he met the Admiral on a passenger ship, and even gave the Admiral a large amount of money. Although she usually wouldn't talk about this matter, it doesn't matter if the person she's talking about is her sister. San Juan said this, but Leipzig, who was sitting next to him and listened with interest, was thoughtful. After saying this, San Juan talked again about what the garrison was built into now. For example, the Tulare residence is not very big, but it was built bit by everyone, and it is very warm. I planned to buy a car a few days ago, but the mountain road is difficult to walk on, so I also planned to buy a bicycle. He also said that he was finally able to go on an expedition and have his own job in the garrison company. San Juan talked happily about various things, although knowing that her sisters would follow her back did not prevent her from describing the future better. Finally, San Juan said, That's it, I'm here to take everyone away this time. After San Juan finished speaking, Atlanta bit his lip and said, I want to go back. San Juan nodded like a chicken pecking at rice, and then heard his sister's tone and said, I must go back, after all, the Admiral is so good to us. Atlanta scratched his short blue hair, and the ship-like ears on his head made a beeping sound. Although they looked like ears, they were actually radars used to detect enemies. When she heard what San Juan said, she laughed and said, I have to go back. He is our admiral, but San Juan, you speak according to your conscience. Leipzig never interrupted. After all, the sisters reunited, and it would be inappropriate for him, an outsider, to get involved. At this time, as Atlanta spoke, she suddenly felt that the atmosphere around her became sad. She thought to herself that among the four sisters, except Santiago, they were better off. The surrounding atmosphere became sad, and San Juan said angrily, why did the Admiral treat us badly? She had completely forgotten what Sugu had forgotten about her. Only the good things about the Admiral will be remembered, but not the bad things about the Admiral. This is the lovely life of a ship girl. Leipzig looked around and thought, why are there no melon seeds? Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 302. Probably because the clouds had drifted across the sky, the light in the room was much darker. There are no melon seeds in Leipzig. There are no melon seeds, no popcorn, and no snacks. I always feel that something is missing. Atlanta complained about her admiral, and she had some resentment towards her admiral. Although even if there is a little resentment, after such a long time, it is time to adapt. Criticizing one's own admiral, this kind of thing actually happens often for ship girls. Of course, it is a little different from general criticism. For a ship girl, that is, I can criticize my admiral, but you cannot criticize my admiral. When she said something like this, she was just complaining. In fact, the sisters would occasionally get together to speak ill of the admiral, but they should criticize and miss him when they should. Hearing his sister's rebuttal, Atlanta said, okay, the admiral is very good, not bad at all. Everyone has been treated unfairly, even San Juan has to admit this, but now the admiral is getting better and better. Now that things have changed, of course she can no longer look at the problem from the perspective of the past. She still defends her admiral quite a bit. San Juan thought for a while and said, it was good. The matter ended like this. Atlanta looked at his sister's angry expression, thought for a moment, and said, I must say something bad about the admiral. I have seen the sea once, and that was when I was fished out. In fact, I can't say that I have only seen it once. After all, the town government is right on the seaside. If you want to see it, you can see the sea at will. It's just that I have never attacked once. There is no chance to step on the sea where I was born, because attacking will consume resources. To be honest, I was quite weak before. But later, I felt that I still had a chance to grow. If I was given a chance, I would change like other people and become quite strong. It's a pity that at that time, the admiral became more and more lazy, and in the end he still had no chance to attack. But to say that the admiral is lazy, those battleships all have opportunities to practice. Atlanta can be modified, but Sugu is too lazy to level up. Helena is enough for the light cruiser. Even worse, there is the Euxian. After all, it is the existence that can get the chance to attack with just its thighs, nicknamed the leg fairy. Atlanta, unknown child. Atlanta said this, and San Juan said, it's gotten better. Now the admiral has gotten better. If you want to attack, you just need to tell him. Atlanta continued, I have had many dreams before, in which I dreamed of being pulled away and then turned into a lot of resources. In fact, sometimes I also have other dreams, and they say that ship girls are born from memory and history. Heroic spirits, if their memories and emotions are strong, the ship girl will become very powerful. I heard others say to me in my dreams several times, Atlanta, just go with peace of mind. I will work hard to live with your wishes, and I will live for you. But why should I want others to live for me? I want to live by myself. When I had that dream that time, I was frightened and woke up. San Juan said, it's just a dream, it won't happen. Then Atlanta went to pull Santiago's tail, and she said, in the past, Santiago was the only one among our 4 sisters who had ever attacked. Where is Santiago? How was he treated? At that time, the garrison's attacks were all anti-submarine formations, and everyone joked that they always went out to fry fish. Occasionally, fish fry would be injured. I saw Santiago come back several times after being defeated. So, where's the Admiral? What did the Admiral do before he let her in? Just look at her ass. Look at her white panties, look at her tail raised. And Atlanta was about to speak, and Santiago tried to gag her, but failed. Atlanta said, the 4 sisters of our Atlanta class all have similar ship uniforms, with cat ears and cat tails. When Santiago's medium tank is damaged, the tail will be exposed. I heard it several times. The Admiral said that Santiago has a butt plug installed. You know what a butt plug is, but I don't know. Leipzig laughed next to him, thinking, I don't know, please tell me. Santiago, every time I come back, my butt is looked at and I'm told that I have a butt plug installed. Do you think it's miserable or not? San Juan said, if you want to say it was miserable, Helena was even more miserable. She didn't say anything. She just poked and touched her breasts whenever she wanted. She couldn't survive like this. Helena is even worse. Atlanta said this, and San Juan remained silent. Yes, Helena was even worse. It's not that it's not good for you to come to us. The Admiral himself has disappeared. At this time, he appears and wants to call us back. But what should I say? If he calls us back, won't he go there himself? So insincere. What does it matter if it's a little further away? Didn't you say that the Prince of Wales is so far away? He has already gone over to find the Prince of Wales. What about our turn? San Juan said, the Admiral wants to come, but I can't wait to come alone first. Has he ever been worried about you? For example, you came out this time. Of course I'll be worried. Atlanta squinted at his little sister and said, you found the Admiral. You said you have lived with him for a long time. It can be seen that you like the Admiral. When you said that, be very happy. You like him, Santiago also likes him. Santiago blushed and said, don't talk about me. Atlanta said, but little girl, the Admiral will never give us a ring, because we are just light cruisers, not battleships, and we are not strong. How can the Admiral like us? In fact, it cannot be said that our admirals are not good. Every admiral I like battleships. If you have a battleship, you are a European admiral. If you don't have a battleship, you are an African admiral. They all say they treat everyone equally, but in fact they are treated differently. Admiral, as a ship girl, I generally like it. However, a ship girl like me is just a light cruiser, so she is not good at it, and she is not taken seriously. We are just light cruisers, and the Admiral doesn't like them at all. Even if it's just once, I want to hear the words San Juan, Atlanta, Juno, you are the only ship I want, but no, even if I can hear it occasionally in one sentence, that's oh, it's you. For a light cruiser, what should it feel like to like an admiral? I heard a few words before. They were said to me by a ship girl who was saddened by her own admiral. Seeing you like those battleships, watching you give them rings, watching them laugh. It's just right, I see your happy look, so I am happy with your happiness. There is no ship girl who likes to be alone and likes an admiral. She doesn't dare to act coquettishly with the admiral or confess her love. It's just that she doesn't like being disappointed. She's afraid of confessing, and she won't even be a friend. Forget it, stop talking and get ready to go back. San Juan curled up on the chair, the breeze blew the curtains of the window, and the light flickered. She rested her head on the knees of her curled legs, and her long red hair, which was carefully taken care of, fell to one side. At this time, when she heard her sister's words, she felt the same way and felt a little lost for no reason. The only sound around was the sound of Leipzig eating biscuits, but Leipzig's chewing movement also stopped, wondering why they were starting to hurt each other. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai-De Rong Yan. Chapter 303. The mood felt a little heavier. Atlanta's unintentional words suddenly attacked everyone in the bakery. Even Leipzig, who was originally going to crack melon seeds and watch the show, felt a little depressed. Of course, for her, being an admiral is great, but salary and benefits are most important. All in all, she was in a good mood and recovered quickly. The sadness was about to overflow, and Atlanta's ship-mounted cat ears were still making a beep-da-da-da sound. She was a little confused about the situation around her. After all, there were some things that the speaker was not interested in, but the listener was intentional. She looked at San Juan curled up on the chair and hugged his legs, and said with some confusion, "San Juan, what are you doing? When is the best time for us to go back? The admiral is waiting for us." San Juan murmured, "There's no rush." Atlanta wanted to continue asking, so Santiago tugged on his sister's clothes. "I thought to myself, you are a sister who speaks without thinking. You really dare to say anything. Look what my little sister has become now." At the same time, San Juan noticed something strange about herself. She stood up from the chair, patted her clothes and said, "It's okay, it's okay. I've been used to it for a long time." She tried her best to smile, but the expression on her face was still able to seeing the loss. He seemed a little lack of energy. "Let's start packing, let's go and bask in the sun." Atlanta didn't finish speaking, and then was pulled away by Santiago. Santiago pulled Atlanta into the aisle and said, "What you said, you see, you made my little sister look like that. What I said is the truth. Apart from the battleship, the admiral has never married anyone. Even the battleship, unless it can play a big role in suppressing the deep sea. Otherwise, look at it, even Richelieu, Washington is not married, and South Dakota, well, do you think South Dakota is married?" She said she was married, but many people don't believe it. This is not about the South Dakota. Santiago, don't you also like the admiral? Compared with other Atlanta-class ship girls, the built Santiago is obviously much rarer. Thanks to the cute illustrations, the Santiago has been launched and expeditioned many times. Hearing Atlanta talking about him again, Santiago thought to himself, "You are too unclear about the occasion and too indifferent." Santiago said, "Idiot." This sentence was said without any pressure. Originally, Atlanta, as a sister, had no dignity at all. Atlanta spread his hands and said, "What should we do? Let my little sister be happy." Not long after, Atlanta smiled in front of his sister and said, "It's hard to get out, let's play here for a while." Oh, San Juan looked a little listless. "We have a Dragon King temple here. Have you ever seen a dragon? It's not a big lizard with two wings, it's an oriental dragon, the Dragon King. Let me count the antlers, snake body, eagle claws, fish scales, and whatnot. I came here, I can't remember, but it feels super awesome anyway. Mainly to bless you with good weather, or for traveling by ship. But if you travel by ship, I think there are people worshipping Mizu again, but I don't know much about it anyway. I'll take you to the Dragon King Temple. How about going and taking a look? No, I don't believe that. Otherwise, we will take you to the square. There is a big tree over there. It takes at least 10 people to surround it. It is a banyan tree, and there are people burning incense there. It is very magical. Let's go and see it together. I do not want to see. Santiago pushed Juno again, but Juno remained silent beside him. San Juan spoke first. It's really nothing, don't worry about me. By the way, the bakery hasn't been open for a long time. 3 days. Hasn't it been open for so many days? Let's open the shop and I'll make the bread. Do you know bread and cakes? I know a little bit of everything, but I'm not familiar with anything. Leipzig was eating snacks and drinking Coke nearby, and was looking forward to what the cat-eared girl's bakery would be like. Santiago sat next to her and said with some worry, "My sister is like this, what should we do?" Leipzig glanced at a few people and said, "This is not a campus romance novel. Smoking, drinking, fooling around, tattoos, abortion, but I Am Still a Good Girl series. How come the ink is misunderstood and how to write? There is no such thing as an admiral and a ship girl. What a tragedy and comedy." To be honest, San Juan is not a melancholy person easily. If you are concerned, you will be in chaos. I have been down for such a long time, how can I get injured so easily? If I become fragile just because of this, then San Juan will no longer be San Juan. She is a strong and quiet girl. She said it herself well, back then, the admiral couldn't even recognize her, and she survived something like that, let alone these. San Juan seemed a little discouraged for a while, and by the end of the night it was obvious that he didn't talk much, or even complained. Although she is not a person who complains, she is considered a very serious and reliable person. Faced with the strange ideas of many unreliable ship girls, sometimes she has to complain. Leipzig stuck to their guns and by the afternoon were suddenly becoming doubtful. "I don't want to go back," San Juan said. These words suddenly startled the people around him, and everyone in Atlanta became a little uneasy. "Little sister." "I lied to you," San Juan smiled, she had completely recovered. "You must be joking." It seems that San Juan has really survived, Leipzig nodded. "For a ship girl to say she won't return to the garrison, that's really a lie. A ship girl would only leave her admiral unless her heart was truly broken. This kind of situation is not unheard of. From the appearance of the ship girl to the present, there have actually been several such things. That is of course because the ship girl was hurt too much. After all, the admiral is just an ordinary person, and it is not surprising that there are 1 or 2 incidents where people's hearts change. To be fair, my admiral did some things quite badly, but there was still a bottom line. For example, he has never put his ship girl in real danger. Although I have done a lot of poking and poking, like Helena did, but what should I say? Helena likes the admiral, at least to the point of 100%. This is something everyone in the guardhouse knows. She was probably still secretly happy after being poked in the chest. When I came back that day, I didn't see Helena doing anything righteous and exterminating her relatives. San Juan recovered, and everyone felt at ease at this time. If a ship girl is confused, entangled, and struggling, she may become a deep-sea ship girl. San Juan looked around and said, "How could I be so fragile? Look at South Dakota, she tried so hard to get a ring, but when the admiral left, she didn't even have the ring, and in the end she went to steal the ring. Think about the Kirov, her body is the Kirov cannon. Think about the gold nugget box Edinburgh, the Lynxian called Didion. Our light cruisers are originally frigates, and they should serve the battleships. We are not miserable." Atlanta said, "You said that, and I remembered another dream. It was before the admiral disappeared, and he had a rare struggle. I remember that day Dafeng grew up, and Dafeng actually turned into an armored aircraft carrier. I heard the Admiral say, Dafeng has been renovated, Atlanta, Juneau, San Juan, please excuse me. Later I heard him muttering to himself, the equipment needs to be dismantled again, so troublesome. Atlanta wanted to say more, but Leipzig saw Juneau's pale face, and she decisively dropped the cup in her hand to the ground. I thought, it's coming again, you sisters should stop hurting each other. Do you think this is a ghost story? As Leipzig dropped the cup in his hand to the ground, everyone's attention was drawn away. Sorry, the cup broke. Leipzig, are you okay? Don't pick up the glass, I'll bring a broom over here. The matter surrounding the cup falling to the ground was finally over. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai-De Rong Yan. Chapter 304. After dinner and showers, several girls gathered in a room. They have cat ears on their heads, wear floral or spotted pajamas, and each has a tail wagging behind their backs. Each one of them is 100% cute. If the gentlemen who were accustomed to guarding outside the bakery saw this scene, they would probably have started to howl. San Juan looked a little sullen. She wore cat ears and a tail. For her, wearing such an outfit always felt a little awkward, but her sisters persisted. They claimed, "Are you our sister? If so, then you must maintain the same image, otherwise others will think Leipzig is our sister." In fact, San Juan knows that among the sisters, Santiago is just following the crowd, while Sister Juno is the arrogant one. So the only one who likes to do such things is her sister Atlanta. She always likes to do some novel things. Anyway, in the end, there was no way to defeat his sister, so he had no choice but to show his cat ears. They hurt each other in the morning, but now the impact of those injuries has disappeared with time. After all, time will heal all pain. Although it only took half a day to heal the pain, it seemed a bit childish. Several people were sitting together and discussing one thing, that is, when to return to the town hall. I definitely have to go back, as a ship girl with a garrison, even though everyone complained about their admiral. However, thinking about the admiral, I still want to stay by his side. This is probably the nature of a ship girl. When a ship girl has an admiral, she no longer has the ability to do as she pleases. Atlanta said, "When will we go back?" San Juan said, "Go back tomorrow." "What about our house and stuff?" "I had paid the rent for the house I bought for the bakery for a long time, but now I don't even have half of it. The landlord will definitely not refund the rent, and I always feel a little unwilling. And going back like this, everyone has no transportation. Although the Tudelary mansion has 2 yachts, one yacht was requisitioned by Sugu, and the other one is for the Tudelary mansion's own use. There is no way to take a yacht out of San Juan, and many things obviously cannot be taken back." San Juan said, "If you can't take it with you, then don't let it go. Anyway, there is everything in the garrison." The cat ears on Atlanta's head trembled. Although opening the ship suit required resources, the resource consumption was almost negligible for just the ears and tail. After hearing her sister's words, she was silent for a moment and said, "But if you don't bring anything, will you be looked down upon? I heard that you need at least a bed and a 4-piece set on the bed. If the family is rich, I also need to accompany the wardrobe and sofa." San Juan clenched her fists, and veins almost appeared. She said, "Sister, we are just going back to the town hall. We are not getting married and we don't need to bring a dowry. Don't you and Santiago like the admiral? If the admiral knows our strength, he will at least look up to you. Atlanta, if you say anything again I will beat you up. I used to be a guard on a passenger ship and I am better than you." Atlanta giggled, breathed a sigh of relief, and said, "My sister has grown up and her wings have become stronger." As San Juan's fist hit the bed, Atlanta's voice finally became quieter. Compared to his sister who is not doing her job every day, San Juan occasionally helped Lexington with various things when he was in the garrison. Now he has gradually become shrewd and capable, although he still looks annoyed when facing his admiral. The look of the bag. San Juan said, when you return the house, it's enough to get the deposit back. Don't let go of unimportant things, just bring the money and the clothes you need to change. Each person is limited to one suitcase. Guard, there are insufficient resources in the government, so we can't sail back. I'll buy a ticket tomorrow, and I think I can board the ship tomorrow afternoon. As soon as she finished speaking, a voice suddenly appeared. So, you have decided to go back tomorrow? San Juan looked back and saw that it was Leipzig's voice. She was not sitting with them, but at a table not far away. What do you think? With a click sound and a flash of light, Leipzig held up the camera and said, but in this case, we won't be photographing the Cat's Ear Bakery. Why are you taking this picture? Hard to say. Then don't take pictures, and bring me the film and so on. Check out the house and pack your bags. The next day, San Juan went to a nearby big city to buy a boat ticket. Unfortunately, the nearest boat had already left, and it would take another day until the next trip. Leipzig proposed to open the shop on the last day, but San Juan saw the gentleman standing outside the bakery, so he decisively rejected it. After visiting the surrounding attractions, the day passed quickly. On the third day, everyone opened up the ship and sailed to the nearby city to board the ship. The passenger ship is bumpy in the sea, but for the ship girl, there is absolutely no chance of seasickness. San Juan stood on the deck of the passenger ship, thinking that his sisters had been found and they would no longer have to run outside. San Juan finished her work, and Leipzig started her own work. She held the pen and wrote something on the paper. This is a bakery called Cathu's. The store is quite big, with many counters and even many dining tables. There is something like the famous Maid Cafe in Chuangzhou here, but the main focus of that Maid Cafe is coffee and drinks. The main focus here is all kinds of cakes, all kinds of cakes. On the contrary, the drinks are a single type of coffee, juice, milk, and cola. If you buy something and want to take it away, you can ask the clerk to wrap it up for you. It doesn't matter if you want to eat directly at the table in the store. This is a very tolerant store. The owner of the store is called Atlanta, and it is just a store opened by a few sisters. It seems to be a big problem to say who is the boss, because everyone is the boss. Atlanta has short hair, wears cute clothes, and works as a cashier. Atlanta's sister is Juno, who is also a store clerk. She always likes to wear a single ponytail and is a tsundere. Santiago is the cutest, with long green curly hair that is fluffy. She is always surrounded by the most children. Although her tail is always wagging, you must not touch it because it is her sensitive spot. Atlanta also has a name called Cookies, Santiago has a name called Puffs, and Juno has a name called Matcha. Recently, they have a new clerk, their sister San Juan, who has a name, Hyacinth. They have a common secret, that is, they like the admiral. In the cabin of the passenger ship, Leipzig was writing something when a hand suddenly took away her notebook. San Juan said, "What are you writing?" "Nothing." "Let me see." San Juan flipped through Leipzig's notes, and then she sighed, "What nonsense you wrote, is one thing true. You are unwilling to open a store and take photos for me, so I can only write it casually. Of course, the travel review must have a little artistic processing, after all, it needs to be exchanged for money." San Juan sighed and said, "I tore it up." The notebook was not torn up in the end, but was just confiscated. The passenger ship was bumping, and the sea breeze poured into the cabin through the windows. The passenger ship was heading home like this. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai-De Rong Yan. Chapter 305. The south wind blew for 2 days, and there was water on the floor and tiles. After another night of north wind, when I woke up the next day, the ground was dry and a lot of leaves had fallen. Counterattack and Fletcher stood under the tree with brooms in hand. Sugu took a breath and sighed that the weather was really refreshing. The weather is getting warmer, so even wearing single clothes is no problem. While eating breakfast, Sugu heard Saratoga say that he would be able to swim in a swimsuit in a few days. Saratoga's words once made people feel distraught, but looking at Saratoga's blinking movements, he knew that his sister-in-law was seducing people. Sugu slapped Saratoga's palm away and said, "Don't touch my waist." While drinking preserved egg and lean meat porridge for breakfast, I heard Prince Eugen complain, "San Juan has been away for so long and he hasn't come back yet. I get up early every day." Sugu said, "Then leave it to me tomorrow." "No, if I ask the Admiral to help me, I don't know how many sisters I will receive cold looks from. Otherwise, just like this, I will help in the kitchen, and the Admiral will spend more time with Sister Bismarck when he has time. I've been with her a lot." As Sugu said this, he sometimes thought that he didn't need to do anything every day, and every ship girl would accompany him and say a few words, and the day would be over. However, unlike everyone else, Bismarck was not talking most of the time. They were just walking or sitting together in the garrison. It is indeed a problem for one person to have so many ship girls. If possible, Sugu would still try his best to spend time with everyone. "In fact, I have been looking for ways to keep my ship girl from being bored. Playgrounds are for little girls like Destroyer. I bought a lot of books for the grown-up girl, whether they are classics or novels, or I also bought a lot of comics. There is no need to think about the book. Those who want to read it can go to Bazai to pick it up." It's just that Bismarck was under strict control during this period, and few works from Bazai were leaked. Although few people saw it, Sugu was one of them. Where there is no internet, there are not many ways to relax except reading books. Chess and card games, table tennis tables, and volleyball courts have also been built in the town hall. I have no idea about the golf and football fields, they take up too much space, unless I change the townhouse in the future. Sugu encouraged his ship girls to go out and play, but no one has such an idea until now. In fact, apart from Counterattack and Fletcher, who have many things to do, the others are in charge of some things, not much, just for fun. The one who can endure the loneliness the most is Akagi, who often spends the day with a cup of tea. Every time Sugu saw Akagi smiling at him in the past few days, he finally experienced the most difficult feeling of accepting the kindness of a beautiful woman. "I was thinking about giving him a ring, and thinking about the weird look he gave me on my wedding ship, I thought I should wait for 2 days, but I took some time to spend more time with Akagi in the past few days. After breakfast, I talked with Lexington. The destroyers only need a few classrooms. When San Juan comes back with her sister, we can convert one classroom into a bar or restaurant. Then go to Chuangzhou to have a look, otherwise go to Tianhao and ask. Let's see where there is a shaved ice machine for sale. It will be summer in a few days, so you can make smoothies and ice cream. Open a shop, and then San Juan and the other sisters can work in it. It doesn't matter if you don't do it, there will always be something you want to do. People just think they are the most suitable." Lexington said, "What a study. Humble opinion. Asian? You're a pervert, right? Admiral, if you have time to care about this issue, I remember that Exeter's sister York left, but she still hasn't come here. Exeter always counsels people with psychological problems. These days, these God seems to be the one who needs counseling. There's really nothing I can do about that. How do I know where York has gone? There's also Kaga. There's been no news about Kaga either." Lexington said, "I just asked you to talk to Exeter and comfort her. None of us know where York has gone." "Okay. Plan M came to see you a few days after you left." "Plan M? Which Plan M?" "It's the military police's Plan M. She came to trouble you, but she was dragged back by Admiral Hipper." Sugu laughed and said, "She doesn't even want to be promoted. What kind of person is she?" Plan M is now forced to be the captain of the gendarmerie. I heard from Prince Eugen, who occasionally went to see his sister, that she now has to learn a lot of things every day, and it's not enough if she doesn't learn. Now there is talk of resigning, but Admiral Hipper has not approved it. He said that he wanted to kill himself. Hearing such words, he expressed his disdain. The guy who ran away as soon as he saw Bismarck, the guy who said he would never fall over, had no courage at all. I saw you and the Prince of Wales watching the sunset that day. You were sitting and she was standing. From a distance, people who didn't know would think you were a girl and the Prince of Wales was a man. The Prince of Wales would be blind if he could look like a man with his stature. Sugu blinked at Lexington and said, "I'm obviously so strong, you know." Lexington's face turned red with embarrassment and he raised his hand, but was not willing to pat it down. During these 2 days, I ran with Bismarck in the morning and could meet him at any time in Saratoga. The Prince of Wales never took the initiative, but after hearing the counter-attack several times, Sugu took the initiative to talk to the Prince of Wales. At night, Bizai needs to be kicked out of his room. I spend time talking to girls from morning till night, and sometimes I feel like a scumbag. After 2 days of this, San Juan and the others still didn't come back. What happened on their trip and how many days they needed to go, Sugu didn't know, but he wasn't too worried. The world is not that cruel yet, but you can encounter accidents just by looking for people when you go out casually. The 2 light cruisers San Juan and Leipzig will not be sunk unless they encounter deep-sea battleships. Moreover, even if you encounter a battleship, unless it is an encirclement or an unavoidable battle, if the ship girl wants to leave, the deep-sea ship girl cannot stay. It was not clear what they encountered in San Juan. Several days after Sugu returned to the garrison, resources and supplies shipped by the ship girl headquarters arrived. The resources were shipped in a container and transported to the dock of the town government. When they were opened, they found a mess inside. The steel a ship girl needs steel full of memory and history. Although some things are only small, they are full of memories and history. It may be a command knife or an anchor with many names engraved on it, but there are also many large and useless things. How much is specific? You can feel the heavy history when you hold it in your hand. It is difficult to describe, but it feels magical. Inside the container, there are steel and aluminum materials. Saratoga looked at the aluminum materials and blinked. No one knew what she had in mind. Lexington said as he held up what looked like a propeller, and it looked delicious. Suguhen reminded the other party to pay attention to the occasion. The containers were unloaded at the dock, but it was still very difficult to move them to the warehouse of the town hall. At first, Eugen salvaged resources from the deep sea, and then used Pikachu to bring them back. However, Sugu's Tutlari residence did have a shabby old car that was left over from the original one. However, there was a flight of steps from the pier to the Tutlari mansion, and the car obviously couldn't get off. The usual resources are small, but this time there are more resources. It seems that a lot of people will be mobilized. Saratoga suggested that they simply open the ship suit and carry it up with 2 people. Just think about 2 people carrying a huge container. Compared with the huge container, the ship girl seems a bit small. Even if it is a foam box, it is difficult to lift it. Javelin volunteered, but Sugu was still a little worried. He was still hesitating, and then he saw a counter-attack hand lifting the container. The scene looked really thrilling. The smaller the force-bearing area, the greater the pressure. When the counter-attack lifted the container, there was only 2 feet on the force-bearing area. When moving, there was even only 1 foot. The concrete floor did not crack. Think about it, Gan Niang is not scientific to begin with, so it's better not to think about it so much. Seeing the counter-attack and lightly lifting the container reminded Sugu. I must not let the ship girl be sorry, this force is really terrifying. Although she usually behaves like a well-behaved maid when she fights back, she is invincible when it comes to fighting. It would be easier to crush an ordinary person like herself to death than to crush an ant. Sugu thought to himself that this was probably the reason why an admiral did not dare to do anything to his own ship's wife. Fighting back and moving resources, Sugu listened to Xiaozhe beside him, clasping his fingers and shouting, 1, 2, 3. Sugu said, "What are you doing?" "I'm counting how much fuel it will cost to counterattack my sister, so that I can send these resources to the garrison." Sugu's face was expressionless, and he pinched one side of Xiaozai's face with one hand, and then pulled Xiaozai's face into the shape of a bun. "Hi, your daughter." A strange voice appeared. Sugu turned his head and saw a person. It was the Enterprise. He didn't expect that the other person came in person this time. He seemed to be talking to Helena just now, but didn't see her. Sugu said, "Do you think it looks like it?" "It doesn't look like it at all. I thought she was the daughter of you and that man." Enterprise pointed to Bazai, who was standing next to Bismarck with an innocent expression. Besides, many admirals like to raise destroyers as if they were daughters. "No, she's not a destroyer, and I'm just raising her as a sister. The problem is, if I raise her as a daughter, how can I get married in the future? I'm not showing off my brain. Sister and daughter are completely different concepts. Although Xiaozai is a little girl now, she may grow up in the future. As a human being, you must have a long-term perspective." The Enterprise noticed Sugu's sinister intentions, showed a contemptuous smile, and said, "Little sister, you're admiral." Sugu pushed Xiaozai in front of him and held Xiaozai's face with both hands. Xiaozai raised his head and the two looked at each other. Xiaozai said, "Auntie, what's wrong with the admiral?" The Enterprise was furious and said, "You too." Sugu said, "Don't argue with the little girl, you are usually so busy. Why aren't you at the ship girl headquarters?" "A branch of the ship girl headquarters. Why do you always talk about the headquarters? The deputy director should be called director. Isn't this common sense?" The Enterprise number is the most troublemaking, but has a straightforward personality. Although we haven't known each other for a long time, we get to know each other quickly. Enterprise said, "I just want to take a look at your garrison." It is said that the garrison defeated the deep-sea flagship with just one garrison. To be honest, do you want me to help you transfer to those dangerous sea areas as an admiral? Although it is dangerous, there is also a lot of income. As long as you can survive for a few years, you will have a lot of ship girls and resources. You can marry many ship girls by then, and you will be happy. Do you still lack a ship girl? There is no lack or shortage. In terms of resources, as long as the power of the ship equipment is not used, the ship girl does not need to consume extra resources at all. The little rich will be safe." Sugu said, "No need, I already have many ship girls, I don't need new ship girls. But if you come, I welcome you. The admiral has 8 wedding ships, oh, 9, and Sister Helena." Before Xiaozai could finish speaking, Sugu grabbed one side of his face. Then she touched her face and rubbed it over and over until there was a red mark. 9 wedding ships. Enterprise immediately looked at Sugu with a devilish expression, and moved his steps to the side to show his purity. Then she laughed and said, "You are indeed not short of ship girls, nor are you short of wedding ships, but you can bear so many wedding ships without being squeezed dry. What a man!" Sugu angrily scolded, "What a waste!" Lexington walked over, saw the Enterprise, smiled gently, and said, "Hello." The company's original appearance was restrained. The powerful and gentle Lexington was considered a senior to her, and she said, "Hello." Sugu said, "So, what's the matter with you coming here? Isn't it okay to just come and take a look at your governor's mansion? Look around and tell the truth, where did you get so many ship girls?" Sugu also didn't know what to say about this, so he didn't know how to say it, so he didn't say it. "It's so strong." Let's be partners. I'll leave any tasks to you in the future. Talk later. But we have a friendship anyway. If there is a conflict at the ship girl headquarters in the future, you have to stand by me. Will there be disputes at your ship girl headquarters? Of course I will. Although everyone is for the good of the ship girl, some are moderates and some are radical. I have many opponents. I heard that there are new people climbing up quickly in the ship girl headquarters. We have different philosophies. Maybe there will be a conflict. Those words were just mentioned, and no one paid attention to them. The Enterprise visited the town hall, and it was already afternoon when she left. She was already busy and could not stay out for a long time. The Enterprise left, and York City came over. Sugu heard her say from the side, "That's the Enterprise, my sister. They don't recognize you as my sister. You just came here now, and you don't even dare to talk to them." Yorktown raised her chest, which became more and more conspicuous with her movements, and she said, "The Enterprise is the second ship of the Yorktown class, and she is my sister." You're overthinking. If that's the case, look at Fletcher. Fletcher, who was wearing a maid uniform, looked over. Sugu signaled that it was okay and said, "Fletcher is rare, but Fletcher-class destroyers are common. If this is considered a sister, how many people does Fletcher have to take care of every day?" Sugu's words left her speechless. York City sneered, "I'll knock on your room door every night, hum." York City left in anger. Sugu saw U-47 and said, "Would you like to sleep with the Admiral tonight?" It was a pity that there was no way to sleep with the submarines at night, so by the next morning, Sugu saw San Juan and Leipzig returning with a few people. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 306. Yesterday, we received a large amount of reimbursement and reward resources. The supplies for Bismarck and other battleships were all completed. We finally understood something that was on Sugu's mind. Everyone's supplies were completed, and there were still quite a few resources left at the end. I dare not say that I became a wealthy person immediately, but I can barely count myself as a well-off person. It is enough to make people feel proud, and they even vaguely look forward to the deep-sea flagship coming back again. Sugu was sitting in the office. There were no files for him to deal with. He was holding a comic book. Thatcher was running around the room holding the U-81 Little Wolf, and Sullivan was scribbling on a piece of paper. Only Sigsby stood next to Sugu and said, "Admiral." Sugu closed the comic, looked at Sigsby, who had his ice blue hair tied up and wore a lace headband, and was beautifully dressed, and asked, "What's going on?" Sigsby stood on tiptoes, put his hands on the desk, and whispered, "Admiral, can you kiss me?" Sugu was very pleased, thinking that the destroyer he had been cultivating for so long finally bore fruit. He said, "Face. Mouth." Sigsby's face was slightly red and his eyes were narrowed. Looking at this scene, Sugu felt more and more that Sigsby was a little goblin, but not a destroyer, so Sugu decisively refused. Sigsby pouted and said, "Why? I saw you kissing Sister Lexington that day. Have you learned how to blackmail?" Sugu was just about to explain, and then under such circumstances, San Juan walked into the office with several of her sisters. "Admiral, we are back," she said hello, as if a few people were going home normally. San Juan took the lead and did not see Leipzig. Following her were girls with different hair colors. If he were outside, Sugu would not be able to recognize his ship girl. But since they were brought back from San Juan, of course they could recognize a few girls at this time. After all, judging from the original game illustrations, the three sisters look completely different. Sugu looked at several girls. They looked similar but had completely different hairstyles and colors. I have to say that compared to other ship girls, these sisters look cute with their cat ears and tails. Admiral, do you recognize us when you look at us like this? Sugu said. Atlanta with short blue hair and a slender figure, there was no doubt that he was Atlanta. Hello, Admiral, we are back, I should say you are back. Well, I'm back, so hello. Behind Atlanta was Juno, whose red hair was tied into a single ponytail. She raised her chin proudly. Sugu said, then let's Juno. What are you asking me to do? You've been gone for so long, and now it's too late to please me. I'm not interested in you. There's no need. Don't talk to me, she looked disgusted. Sugu's shoulders slumped and he thought, I just called your name. When did I want to please you? Sugu just wanted to say hello to Santiago, and then he saw Juno blinking, brushing his bangs, and then brushing his ponytail, as if to say, I'm just pretending, Admiral, you want to talk to me, Her eyes were shining brightly, and the expression on her face was the epitome of arrogance. Sugu had a headache. This was such a troublesome girl. Santiago. Hello, Admiral. Compared to the sisters' slender figures, Santiago standing next to Juno looks much fleshier. Compared to the sisters' beauty, she looks cuter. As Sugu greeted her, she smiled. Sugu said, do you live far away? No. San Juan was out for many days. Because we were having fun all the way back. The next step is to arrange accommodation for the new ship girls as usual. The room where San Juan originally lived cannot accommodate several people, and then he has to prepare a room for them. The new ship girl, Sugu, as the admiral, of course has to accompany her. Otherwise, you won't be able to see anyone when you meet, and that won't make you look a bit outrageous, just like before. I won't be able to accompany you all the time in the future, but it will be different when you first come here. Sugu took everyone around the governor's mansion. Then what should we do when we return to the town hall? It doesn't seem like there's anything going on, so what do you want to do? How about the secretaryship? I wanted to try it before. Secretaryship, no, that's Lexington's job. Then what if I want to be the flagship? Generally, there is no formation. When something happens, a temporary formation is formed, and then there is a flagship. I said so much, but the admiral didn't agree to any of it. Atlanta has a really cool personality, but Sugu feels like he can't keep up with his opponent's rhythm. He took Atlanta's group to visit the town's mansion. The town's mansion was not very big. Unless they stayed in their rooms, like those in the North residence, they didn't go out all day. They met many people along the way. Some people watched, and some greeted Atlanta and the others. Although they are both in the garrison, they can be said to have a sisterly relationship. In fact, they are also close and distant. They will unite when facing outsiders, but when they are all on their own, they still have small groups. Just as SIGs is several Fletcher-level destroyers superior to them, they cannot compete with submarines. Bismarck and the Prince of Wales never saw what they said. Walking through the playground, I saw Helena sitting on the stone pier inside the town hall. Standing in front of her was the destroyer Lan. She seemed to be being taught a lesson by Helena. Helena is back now, and she is in charge of all the destroyers. As for Lan, Sugu knew this, because it was okay for Lan to skip classes, and he even instigated other destroyers to skip classes too, so it was no surprise that he was taught a lesson. As Sugu led everyone over, Helena saw a few people and waved Lan away. She straightened her bangs and tucked them behind her ears. Atlanta, you are back. Yes, Helena. I invited you to my place before. If you don't come, you have to come now. It can be seen that Helena has a good relationship with them. You said before that you could work at the ship girl headquarters for the rest of your life, and now you're back. Atlanta talked to Helena, and after a while, they kept talking and singing, so Sugu could only take Juno and Santiago to continue the visit. Atlanta did not continue to follow Sugu. Leipzig, who had originally gone out together, could not be seen when he came back. Only San Juan followed him. "I heard that you opened a bakery, how is the business?" Juno put her head aside, as if she didn't want to talk to you, and Santiago told her everything. After hearing everything, Sugu showed an expression of "you are so strong, it's really worrying to have a bakery open 3 days a week at most." Sugu said, "That's a lighthouse. It needs to be repaired recently." After hearing your news, San Juan immediately became anxious. Snapped. As Sugu spoke, he patted his shoulder with one hand. He looked back and saw that it was Atlanta. Atlanta was carried behind her head. She ended her conversation with Helena and caught up with her. She showed a surprised expression and said, "Admiral, you actually gave Helena a ring." "Yes, I gave it." Atlanta found it not surprising that Helena didn't take off the ring after putting it on. Atlanta said, "Admiral, at first San Juan said you had changed, but I didn't believe it. Now it turns out that you have really changed, and you actually gave a ring to a non-capital ship. You are no longer the admiral I know. I really wronged you." Sugu thought to himself, if it was still a game, he would definitely not give Helena a ring. "You are not wrong, but the reality is different." Sugu replied shamelessly, "Since we have feelings, as long as Helena agrees, of course she will give her the ring." Atlanta ran in front of Sugu and said, "That's it?" She looked understanding, and Sugu suddenly felt uneasy. Atlanta walked up to Santiago, lifted up Santiago's skirt, and said, "Admiral, look at Santiago, she is wearing white underwear, and her tail is easy to touch." She grabbed her sister Santiago's tail. Santiago made a pleasant sound and quickly tried to slap her sister's hand away. "I want to tell you something." "What?" Sugu became more and more panicked. "Santiago is pretty good. Now, let me tell you, I tell you." Santiago and San Juan. Atlanta turned his head and looked at his sisters Santiago and San Juan. Her cat ears made a beep beep sound, like a scene that only appeared in animation. Once she has an idea, her fur will stand up or her eyes will light up, and her cat ears will make a beeping sound. As a good sister, if the younger sister can't speak, then just leave it to the elder sister. "Admiral, I'm just telling you about Santiago and San Juan. In fact, they also want." Before she could say anything, Santiago blushed and covered her mouth. San Juan, who had been observing his sister, had already pumped out his fist. Such a reaction shocked Sugudu. There was a fight, and soon, it was difficult for two fists to defeat the four hands. San Juan pushed Atlanta to the ground, and then cut Atlanta's hands behind his back. Santiago sat on Atlanta's body and reached out to cover Atlanta's mouth. Her fluffy curly hair was a little messy. Everyone's face was red. Due to the fight, Santiago's fleshy belly and navel were exposed. She was panting like a cat, with her tail wagging. She was not a fake cat like Bismarck at all. Sugu said, "You. It's okay, no problem." "It's indeed okay, but you have several cats rolling together, with their bellies, underwear, and lower breasts. It's a good cat movie." Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 307. The governor's mansion has now converted many rooms into chess and card rooms or small libraries. Many new activity rooms were built, and a painting studio was even prepared for the North House. I only visited Bazai once, and then I went to visit because of my sister, and then stayed in Sugu's room. She had a troublesome personality. The idea of a cat bakery is just an idea for now. After all, remodeling a room involves decorating or buying counters, sofas, ovens and many other things, which is not a problem that can be solved in a short time. When I came back that day, I didn't see Leipzig. The girl just returned to the governor's mansion and went back to her room without even saying hello. With doubts, Sugu found Leipzig and saw her sitting on his bed angrily. Although this slender and beautiful girl keeps asking for a salary, she has never really asked you for it. After all, even if the town hall has a salary, it cannot be spent. She is just a talker. Leipzig said, I originally took a lot of photos, but they were confiscated by San Juan. Admiral, let me tell you, she is a beautiful girl with cat ears. Sugu felt sad and said, San Juan, such a bastard. I also wrote a travel review book, but unfortunately it was also taken away by San Juan. Didn't you write it? Even if it is confiscated, if you write it again, tell me. Leipzig spread his hands towards Sugu and said, thank you for your patronage, 500 gold coins. Then you might as well grab it faster. Isn't this just robbing you? You haven't paid me my salary yet. Okay, you go and get it from the Prince of Wales. Leipzig raised his middle finger and said, the couple is black in the garrison. Sugu thought something had happened to Leipzig, but he seemed to be in high spirits, so it was fine. The idea of opening a cat bakery in the town hall was temporarily shelved. There were no beautiful girls with cat ears to see, and I didn't expect that things would suddenly turn around the next morning. When Sugu entered the cafeteria in the morning, he saw Santiago bending over and wiping the table with a rag. Her fluffy curly hair was wrapped in a white cloth, and her green tail was exposed, swaying as she wiped it. In addition, the hem of her skirt was very short, exposing her underwear, and Sugu's eyes were unconsciously drawn to her. Santiago noticed Sugu coming in and she said hello. Good morning, Admiral. Sugu was stunned by the sudden cry. Looking again, it turned out that Atlanta, who was next to Santiago, had grabbed her tail. Blushing face and pleasant voice. Sugu wondered whether Santiago was really like Leipzig said, and her tail was her sensitive point. Compared to Santiago's aggrieved expression, Atlanta looked excited. Her figure is slender, like that of a high school student. Compared with figures like the Prince of Wales and Helena, she is really barren, but she still has her own charm. Atlanta's voice was clear and she showed a small tiger tooth when she spoke. She saw Sugu and said, Master, what do you want to say? Your tone was good yesterday, why did it become like this today? Atlanta spread his fingers and said, I like the master most, cat. Master, you want soy milk, fried dough sticks and frosting bread, cat. Sugu was in a daze, thinking, Atlanta, where did you get to be so cute? Now he finally understood why their bakery in Atlanta was still doing a prosperous business even if it only opened once every few days. Because their target audience is not the serious people who buy bread, but the gentlemen. Those rich gentlemen, how could they refuse a beautiful girl with cat ears? Sugu said, let me go and see for myself. What did you do today? Delicious bread, meow, now we are responsible for this canteen, meow. Atlanta skipped away, and Sugu walked to the window, and then saw Juno wearing a white chef's hat and dancing with a large spoon. Sugu coughed, and she quickly made a serious expression. Sugu said, you are here to help too. If San Juan didn't insist on me coming, I wouldn't come. Okay, then give me 2 ounces of preserved egg and lean meat porridge. Well, those breads were made by you, right? 2 pieces of toast. Even if you are an admiral, don't expect preferential treatment. Then Sugu lowered his head and looked at his plate, thinking, I don't need preferential treatment, so don't give me half a caddy of porridge, plus 5 slices of toast and 3 egg tarts, I really can't finish it. I am not Akagya. Although the Atlanta sisters were not wearing maid uniforms, they were all wearing white aprons. There were cat ears on his head, and a tail swayed. It adds a bit of charm to the canteen, no, it adds a lot of charm. The styles of the sisters are completely different and there is no repetition. Atlanta is passionate, Santiago is shy, and Juno is arrogant. You guys are so cute, are you ruining the moral order in the cafeteria? Sugu carried the dinner plate and walked to counterattack and sat down. Counterattack, counterattack, your competitor is here, the cat-eared maid. Counterattack glanced at Atlanta, who was wearing an apron and wearing cat ears, and said, they are not maids, they are just the product of your men's bad taste, meow. Counterattack said the word meow seriously. Sugu was stunned for a while. Counterattack, why have you become like this? If you continue like this, there will be no way for you to escape the ring. Admiral, Admiral. Sugu was halfway through eating when she turned around and saw Xiaozai waving. She followed Bismarck and Beizai into the cafeteria. Good morning, Xiaozai. Xiaozai first went to the window of the cafeteria, stuffed her little hands into a large donut, and then she ran to sit next to Sugu. Admiral, Admiral. Sister San Juan has cat ears on her head, so cute. Sugu nodded sincerely. I have cat ears too. Xiaozai's uniform is different from that of Beizai. It is also decorated with cat ears. Sugu knows this very well. It is better to say that he knows everything about Xiaozai. Admiral, look, look, look. Xiaozai placed the large donut on the dining table, and then exposed the cat ears of his ship suit. She made a soft and waxy voice, imitating Atlanta's tone, excuse me, what do you want, Admiral? Sister meow on your head, I won't touch it. I told the Admiral that just now Sister Atlanta said this, meow meow meow. What do you want, meow? She was wearing a white hoodie and a green skirt, holding her doll Sister Meow on top of her head. The doll was a little unstable on her head, so she stretched out her hands to press the doll on her head. When Sugu looked at her, she was shaking her head, her short pink hair bouncing. Sugu only took a second to make a decision. He stretched out his hands and put them on Xiaozai's face, rubbing and rubbing. Xiaozai's head also turned and turned with his movements. Because Xiaozai pressed his Sister Meow doll with both hands, he could only let Sugu squeeze and round it. No, you want to rub me. Finally, the feeling was enough, and even Bismarck started coughing next to him. For this reason, Sugu reluctantly let go. He took a bite of the toast, looked at the people around him, and thought, no emperor would change this kind of life. Girls with cat ears are certainly cute, but little Lolita with cat ears are the cutest. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 308. San Juan brought her sister back, and following them back to the town hall, she was temporarily responsible for sharing the work in the canteen and being cute in the canteen. Because of the defeat of the deep-sea flagship, many admirals came to visit when Sugu left the garrison to look for Lafayette and Kent. Lexington said that since his admiral was away, many things could not be discussed in detail. It was not good for the other party to visit frequently. After all, frequent visits to a garrison where the admiral was not around would give people a feeling of evil intentions, so Lexington said he would pay a return visit after the admiral came back. When Sugu came back, he actually didn't go back for a visit immediately. After all, he had been running away, so he still planned to have a good rest for 2 days. Then I went to the company to bring resources, and then to San Juan to bring my sister back. I couldn't get away these days. It wasn't until 2 days later that Sugu finally mustered up the energy to visit the nearby governor's mansion. After all, others come to see you, no matter what their intentions are, as long as they are not malicious. This kind of visit is actually an exchange of feelings. It is not necessarily because you have defeated the deep-sea flagship and want to come over to please you. To visit, you must go there. There is no way to leave this kind of matter to the ship girl. Although the ship girl can complete the task, it has to be said that if the ship girl alone goes there, it will give people a feeling of contempt. Some things have developed to the point where they have become conventions. Without the admiral, just the ship girl, if you are not very familiar with them, it is a kind of contempt. To the southwest, the admiral who guards a sea area is named Chikai. He has yellow hair, and it is unclear whether he was born or died. His face is slightly thin, and he is not wearing an admiral's uniform. Instead, he likes to wear a suit in the governor's mansion. The admirals within a certain distance have more or less heard of their names. Regarding the other party, Sugu heard Tian Hao mention that he seemed to be an admiral with a strange foot fetish. After leaving Chikai's garrison, he went to the garrison of the admiral named Yuqin. The other party built a huge garrison in a mighty manner. From the outside, it was at least much bigger than his own garrison. Even when he saw those high walls and glazed tiles, he couldn't help but feel a little jealous. Entering the governor's mansion, you immediately see beautiful gardens, fountains, and palaces. Entering those palaces, there are tall vaults, beautiful murals, columns one after another, and 2 rows of maids standing along the red carpet. Although it can be confirmed from the appearance of those maids that they are just ordinary people, such a posture is really a bit scary. Your town hall is a little too exaggerated. I have no choice. Dad said that it was not easy for our family to have an admiral. It is a great honor to protect the family and the people, so we must send people to build the garrison like this. After communicating with him, it has been reduced by 2/3 budget, but it's still like this. You are rich, right? You are rich, but you are not as good as me. Sugu said, "This is my wedding ship." Awesome, this is my ship girl, just Oyado. Actually, I prefer light cruisers to battleships. I don't have anything to do with you. You must know a lot because you have so many ship girls. I just want to ask you. Do you have any tips? What I want to do the most is to build Ningai, and I have already prepared a lot of resources. If there is any trick that can help me build Ningai, I will be very grateful. Ningai is the only ship I want. Dadayan, there is no trick, get out. The admirals who came to see me before were prepared to return visits one by one. This was considered basic etiquette. Of course, there were joys and sorrows during the return trip. Even though the admirals were all good people, they were not alike. Everyone has his own persistence. Some are soldiers and manage the garrison like an army. Sugu's management style is seen as not doing his job properly. Some people are rich, so they can pamper their ship girls. If they were not ship girls, they would be spoiled immediately. Even so, it can be seen that some ship girls are a little arrogant. All in all, if you're happy, just talk. If you're not happy, just change the topic. Anyway, it's just contact now. After leaving a garrison's mansion and walking along the embankment of a large river called Gontang River, Sugu broke off a willow leaf on the side of the road. He sat on the riverside railing, with the Prince of Wales standing beside him. This time he came out and the Prince of Wales followed him. The Prince of Wales has long golden hair pinned to the sides and wears red clothes and a white skirt. His appearance is similar to that in the game. Take a break. You can't walk like this. Yes. It seems that Bismarck takes you running every day, but it has no effect. There is no conflict between Hood and Bismarck. On the contrary, you and Bismarck have wrong noses and wrong eyes, they fell in love and killed each other. Are you the jealous and longing senior Hood who fell in love with another junior? Sugu smiled, and the Prince of Wales said with a cold tone, "Admiral. Keep talking." Sugu was not that stupid. He looked left and right and said, "I forgot to bring my camera." "Don't tell me, this place is really beautiful." The Prince of Wales said nothing. Sugu said, "The Tennessee we saw in that townhouse was so tall." "Is our Tennessee that tall?" "We are your ship girls. Although past history and memories will affect our image. But when you wake us up, Our image will be as close to your imagination as possible. Even though they are the same ship girl, they don't have the same appearance, which is great. Sugu said, generally, everyone calls the battleship her, but some people call the battleship him. If they wake up the ship girl, will there be a shipman or a bearded ship girl? Admiral, I have never seen a ship girl like that, nor a shipman. If you want, maybe. In no mood. Sugu remembered that the Soviet Union did call the battleships him in the past, but in the game, both the Reliance and the Tashkent were cute little girls, and the scenes he imagined would not appear. It was just a casual chat, and we could talk about anything. However, the Prince of Wales accompanying him was not from Bazai. If he was Bazai, he would be excited at this time. There seemed to be two little girls quarreling in the distance. Sugu said, let's go over and take a look. It's Chinese nature to just watch the excitement, and they seem to be about to start a fight, so it's necessary to stop them. Boring the Prince of Wales said this and followed Sugu. The Prince of Wales walked over. Although she was not always serious and rigid like Bismarck, she usually did not smile. She was wearing an eye patch. As she passed by, the quarrel between the two little girls stopped immediately. They hugged each other, somewhat like trembling quails. The little girls stopped arguing because of the Prince of Wales, and Sugu said, they were scared by you. The Prince of Wales was silent, and then said with some surprise, I look really fierce. Sugu laughed, of course you have nice breasts, but of course you don't dare to say what's on your mind, he said, not mean at all. It was like this in the past. Amethyst and Javelin liked to talk to counterattack, but they stopped talking when I showed up. If counterattack asked them to do something, they would still refute. When I asked them to do something, they would just do it. Isn't that good? You have high prestige. You're just afraid of me. Counterattack has the character of fighting back, Lexington has the character of Lexington, you are the Prince of Wales. If you want to be popular, in fact, Bazai is also quite popular. Do you want to be like her? Except when facing Xiaoze, Bazai has such an indifferent character when facing others, and sometimes behaves weakly, but he is actually quite popular. Bazai. The Prince of Wales had a stern look in his eyes. She didn't have a good look at the guy who obviously had great power but was lazy every day. That was different from the beliefs she believed in. Don't compare me to her. So you are the unique Prince of Wales. The Prince of Wales bit his lip. Sugu said, speaking of which, our reputation is spreading quite well now. Although there is no deliberate publicity, many people know it. Maybe someone will hear the news and come back. For example, you are running the guardhouse, so you should there are people like you. So who do you want? The counterattack is so powerful. In fact, I wonder what will happen to the reputation of the head maid. She is my wedding ship and can protect me at any time, and... Before Sugu finished speaking, the Prince of Wales said, I will also protect you, and I will protect you to the death. Although I don't know why you suddenly said such things, Prince of Wales, I was flirted with by you, and you have to take responsibility. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 309. The Gontang River is not wide, the water is green and the water is slightly turbulent. There are very few boats on the river, but occasionally one or two bamboo rafts can be seen, on which fishermen stand to cast their nets. The dams along the river are beautifully planted with willow trees. Sugu chatted with the local admiral and heard that a Gontang River Park was planned to be built by the Gontang River. It's just that the slogan has been shouted for several years, but no groundbreaking has been made. The leaders in the county have changed a team, and the plan has been completely shelved. The sun shines through the tall willow trees by the river, reflecting messy spots on the ground. The sun reflected on the golden hair of the Prince of Wales, making the golden hair more dazzling. The Prince of Wales stood there, the size of her breasts looking even more thrilling because of her clothes. Under the white skirt were slender and well-proportioned thighs, paired with knee-high boots. Such a devilish figure was stirring people's hearts all the time. The Prince of Wales crossed his chest with his hands. Like Helena, she could only put her hands under her breasts. This was the trouble with big breasts. Actually, to protect you, counterattack is more appropriate than reputation. Because reputation's character sometimes seems to be restrained around you, on the contrary, the further away from you, the more relaxed she can be. Counterattack is by your side, unlike her sister. The closer she is to you, the stronger her fighting power becomes. It's just that her luck has always been bad, and she is prone to bad things sometimes. Reputation and counterattack are not suitable, so I am the one who is suitable to protect you. He lowered his head and hesitated. When the Prince of Wales said I will protect you, to be honest, Sugu was a little moved. In order to keep the atmosphere like this, he said firmly, as the Admiral, I will also protect you. Wales looked at Sugu and said, I don't need your protection. In terms of combat effectiveness, where does the Prince of Wales need Sugu's protection? From other aspects, the Prince of Wales and counterattack had supported a garrison. The Prince of Wales was not one of those fragile and easily injured ship girls. Even without Sugu, she could still live a good life as a wandering ship girl. When the Prince of Wales said such words, Sugu was shocked for a while, and he said, Don't say that. What should I say? Thinking about the role he could play, Sugu sighed and said, I don't know what to say. Well, but as an admiral, I can't even protect you, so I might as well be you pretty boys will be fine. The Prince of Wales said, Okay, my pretty little admiral. The Prince of Wales actually made a joke. Sugu said, My Prince of Wales, your pretty boy invites you. I just saw a man setting up a drawing board on the street to draw. It's not expensive. Let's go and ask him to draw a picture for us, John. It's better to take pictures than to paint, and you have to sit still for a long time. Sugu said, It feels more interesting than taking pictures, otherwise, I saw a coffee shop called Riverside Coffee in front, let's go there together. I don't like drinking coffee. It would be nice if there was wine, but remember, Admiral can't drink. It's more about not liking to drink than not being able to drink. Let's go buy some clothes. My clothes are all made by the Queen, so I don't need to buy any more. I've tried so hard, you emotional idiot. Sugu said, Big brother. Big brother, you are my true big brother. When I thought of taking the Prince of Wales out with me, I had some considerations at first. Just tell me who is the most suitable to take out. Ignoring the aspect of appearance, after all the girls are pretty, and who is the prettiest depends entirely on personal taste. Purely considering who would be most helpful, of course it would be Lexington, the perfect wife after all. Perhaps only when the reputation of the perfect maid comes back can we be able to compare. Just counting my own wedding ships, Lexington naturally doesn't need to be considered, as it has the closest relationship. Sister-in-law Saratoga has nothing to worry about and is always close by. Bismarck, we exercise together every day and actually spend a lot of time together. After all, 9 wedding ships can't do it without training, and there may be more in the future. He doesn't want to die young. Helena is now in charge of little girls like destroyers and submarines. She has a high prestige among the little girls. In this case, everyone will meet in the destroyer's dormitory. Bazai doesn't care about anything. After all, it is the Prince of Wales who gets along the least, and indeed the one who is the most neglected is the Prince of Wales. Although at the beginning, Sugu also thought that the Prince of Wales was a bit fierce. Compared to the enthusiasm of Lexington and Saratoga, the Prince of Wales seemed a little colder. To be fair, after living together for such a long time, it would be wrong to say that the Prince of Wales is a bit cold, but at best he is a bit dogmatic. Sugu is the kind of person who moves the dice as soon as he dials them, at least when it comes to dealing with women. The Prince of Wales was no better and could never do anything like Saratoga. Taking the Prince of Wales out these days, I still want to communicate with the Prince of Wales. After all, it is my wedding ship, so I usually look like a passerby. The Prince of Wales walked forward alone, and Sugu followed behind. The two of them walked and walked. The two walked along the embankment along the river, and soon walked along the steps from the embankment to the street. People were coming and going on the street. With his delicate and beautiful appearance and devilish figure, the Prince of Wales attracted the attention of many people along the way. The Prince of Wales is an idiot, and Sugu can't do anything no matter how hard he tries, but he still wants to try. Sugu said, "You don't think it's interesting to find someone to paint, you don't think it's interesting to buy clothes, and you don't want to go have coffee with me. As your admiral, you are my wedding ship, don't you think I have no face? Prince of Wales, many people looked at you along the way, it made me very difficult for you to do this. So what do you want?" Sugu was silent for a long time and said, "So let's hold hands. Let's hold hands." Such words should really be said by a man. Sometimes he still has to take the initiative. If this still doesn't work, then I really have no choice. The Prince of Wales stopped, and when Sugu came to her side, she said, "Whatever you want." Then they started holding hands. It feels so weird to get married first and then fall in love. To exchange feelings is to exchange feelings, and there are still tasks. Taking the Prince of Wales out for a return visit from door to the townhouse usually took half a day. Have lunch together, talk about some casual things, and more or less talk about serious things. Of course, cooperation will be discussed, but for Sugu, the basis of cooperation is that the other party must provide resources for supplies and injured ship girls. You can help, but if you encounter danger, you will never risk your life. No matter what, safety comes first. That's about it. A few days passed and the return visit was completed. Sugu originally thought that everything was over, but the next day, he was a little surprised when he saw an acquaintance, Mu Chang. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 310. After finishing the return visit, I planned to rest for a while, but I didn't expect to meet Mu Chang at the governor's mansion. The person who brought Mu Chang over was the counterattack, and she was wearing a maid outfit as usual. A lot of people came to my door during this period, including all kinds of messy people. Sugu had heard from Helena before that reputation should not be spread everywhere, it was best just to spread it within the admiral's circle. Sugu didn't want to spread it deliberately, but he couldn't stop this kind of thing. During this period, many people, including wealthy businessmen and government officials, knew that there were too many people coming to our door with various purposes. The governor's mansion is the admiral's back garden. If anyone wants to come in, they can come in. That's fine. Everyone discussed it and decided that no one could be allowed into the garrison. There are several reliable ship girls in the garrison, including Lexington, San Juan, Prince Eugen, Counterattack. In the end, Counterattack volunteered to take on the reception work. If it's an admiral who comes to visit, of course there's no problem. In a circle like the admiral's, it's hard to reject people thousands of miles away. But of course, those who come with various purposes will be turned away. Anyway, no matter whether they are wealthy businessmen, high-ranking officials, or others, the admiral is cut off from the normal circle, and no one can give Sugu a pair of shoes. Mu Chang came over, that is, Counterattack brought in, which was something Sugu had never thought of beforehand. In fact, the process of getting to know the other party was somewhat tortuous. Mu Chang, as a relatively well-known person at the Naval Academy in Chuangziu, was once used as a negative teaching material to inspire the newcomers. Look at, even this kind of person has not given up. Is there any reason to give up? Because of this, I don't know how many new admirals have felt the pressure and eventually became an outstanding admiral. He and Mu Chang became friends because of Fletcher's incident. There was some misunderstanding at first, but it was gradually resolved. When he came here, apart from the ship girl, Sugu knew many people, but not many people could become friends. Mu Chang was one of the few people. Of course Sugu was very happy when Mu Chang came over. He had long heard that the other party had established a garrison, but there had been no contact due to communication issues. When I saw Mu Chang, he was wearing a well-tailored suit and had his hair cut into pieces. No matter from any angle, he could be called a handsome man. Sugu had heard him boast that just by virtue of his outfit, handsome appearance, and handmade suit, he could sneak into many high-end banquets without the need for invitations. Mu Chang came over, and Sugu accompanied him around the governor's mansion. His shipmates, the destroyers Anthony, Blaine, and Kashinyan ran over. Running and jumping, climbing trees, throwing rocks, throwing sand, the mischief never stopped. Then they stopped when they saw the Prince of Wales, and they ran away like little rabbits. Then he ran to Mu Chang, looking timid and curious. Mu Chang put his arms around his ship girl and said, "Who is she?" "Prince of Wales, my wedding ship." "Your wedding ship? Where is that person you just saw in the office?" "Lexington is still my wedding ship. I saw Instructor Akagi and Instructor Zeppelin. It turns out that Instructor Akagi resigned and came to you. And Instructor Zeppelin. Wait a minute, Akagi is my ship girl now, but Zeppelin, to be precise, is just the instructor of our townhouse. You haven't left after coaching for half a year. How dare you say that?" "That's because of love." When Mu Chang looked at him with bulging eyes, Sugu quickly said, "It's not love for me. Zeppelin's love is of course for Akagi and Bismarck." Mu Chang became somewhat silent and said, "Who is that young girl with 3 puppies?" "Submarine U-81. He became a little excited again. "I'll go over and take a look." Of course Sugu knew what kind of virtue Mu Chang was. The guy who could bathe his ship girl was a lolicon. Since he couldn't do that kind of thing himself, Sugu grabbed Mu Chang's hand and said, "Don't go there." Seeing Sugu's firm eyes, after a long moment, Mu Chang said, "Okay." After taking 2 steps like this, Mu Chang turned his head and waved his fist at Sugu with his backhand, saying, You." Sugu stretched out a hand to block it and said, "You can't beat me in a fight. I was trained by Bismarck. Africans will never be slaves." Sugu said, "We will become kings after all. It's just that you became the king." Let's not mention Mu Chang's feelings, but he is a person who can bear it. Of course, part of the reason is that many people in the guardhouse are not hanging out outside. Soon he talked about the reason why he came. In fact, there was no reason. Mu Chang became the admiral just because of his interest. As the young master of a big businessman, he didn't lack anything at all. For him, he can just keep doing it. If he doesn't want to do it, he can go home and inherit the company. Admiral is just a job. After walking around the Tutelary mansion and sitting together inside the Tutelary mansion, Mu Chang looked at his ship girl with some relief. "I'm still working hard with my destroyer, and that's all you do." A garrison often manages the sea area, but the sea is an unusually vast territory. Generally speaking, every county is equipped with at least 1 garrison. There are often several garrison forts in dangerous sea areas, and when necessary, they will join together to form a powerful formation. The newcomer's garrison and the nearby sea area are basically like the ones at the beginning of the game. Basically, even if you only have a few destroyers, you can complete the mission well. After all, Games are games and reality is reality. If they were all high-intensity deep-sea ship girls, humanity would have been doomed long ago. Compared to the crazy and endless stream of deep-sea ship girls are rare after all. Mu Cheng said, I was working as an admiral over the Georgiao Strait, and suddenly I heard that a garrison had repelled the deep-sea flagship, and then I heard your name. I thought you were quite powerful in the past. At that time, there are many ship girls. I just haven't seen you in such a short period of time, but now your garrison has become so strong. But rumors about you have spread to me, and you have become weird. Some people say that you are a big boss pretending to be cute. Some people say that you are actually the secret admiral of the ship girl headquarters. Behind the scenes, the backer is the ship girl headquarters. Some people say that you were just lucky enough to meet and defeat the deep-sea flagship, but he said that he was too embarrassed to say it. Defeating the deep-sea flagship was certainly something worthy of honor, but Sugu couldn't be too proud. He said, the main reason is that the deep-sea flagship is weak. I didn't contribute much, I just did a small job. You did a little bit of work, because it was all your ship girls who contributed. Anyway, I don't understand you, where did you get so many ship girls? Sugu wanted to speak in the same old way, but Mu Cheng had already said, don't use the same reason as before, and don't explain that she was your old ship girl when he met Fletcher in the past. He used similar reasons with Mu Cheng. After explaining it, it seemed that it was not good to keep using this method, but Sugu had no choice, and it was indeed like this. This is a serious conversation between admirals. However, Mu Cheng only had a short time to be serious. He said, you must be very happy when you have so many ship girls. Sugu said, let me tell you, the more ship girls, the better. The first thing that limits you is resources. No matter how many ship girls you have, not enough resources will not work. To tell you the truth, with so many ship girls, it's not good to guard one person every day. Everyone has to care, and a day goes by after everyone says a word, and you can't do anything if you want to. It's not good to have only one ship girl, but the ship girl is actually not good either, like it's best if you are like this. Mu Cheng's expression changed and he said, you are still acting like a good boy after you get an advantage, so get out. Then he smiled again and said, to be honest with you, I don't care about forming an alliance. The purpose of coming here this time. I have saved enough resources recently and can build again. This time I came out and took our ship girl around to relax. No matter what cathedral, what big temple, no matter what God worships me when he sees me, I don't believe that I can't build a battleship. You are so insincere, who will protect you? Battleship, you are overthinking. Please, can you say something nice? Congratulations in advance for building a battleship. Tongzi, I hope you can find another battleship. Anyway, you always use this reason. Mu Cheng came here in the morning and left again in the afternoon. His original purpose was to take his destroyer around and pray to gods. When Mu Cheng came over this time, there was one thing Sugu could confirm. His name spread to far-away places. Even though the garrison was thousands of miles away, Mu Cheng heard about him.